Have you ever wondered what it really takes to speak English like a native? Not just understanding words, but actually sounding natural, confident, and fluent. What if the secret wasn't in studying more grammar, but in something much simpler, like repeating real-life sentences out loud every day? In this story, you'll step into the daily lives of ordinary people from all walks of life. A college student, a delivery driver, a graphic designer, and discover how one powerful method called shadowing can quietly transform the way you speak English. Ready to uncover the key to speaking naturally? Let's begin. If you're still here, it means you're curious, and that curiosity is the best place to start. Let's begin our journey not with theory, but with real people. Meet Maya. She's not a celebrity or a language teacher. She's a college student living in San Francisco with a simple dream: to speak English fluently and confidently. Every morning, Maya wakes up at 6 a.m. while the city is still quiet. She doesn't scroll through social media or stay in bed. Instead, she ties her shoes and heads out for a run in the park, letting the cool morning air sharpen her focus. Why start with Maya? Because her routine is the perfect example of how fluency is built, not all at once, but moment by moment, word by word. After her run, she takes a shower and prepares a healthy breakfast, usually oatmeal. Then, like many students, she catches the subway to university. But what makes Maya different is what she does during the ride. She shadows. She listens to native English speakers on podcasts and echoes their sentences softly, matching their rhythm, intonation, and emotion. At school, she attends her classes and takes careful notes. During lunch, she talks and laughs with her friends, all in English. Later, she heads to the library where she studies quietly, reviewing vocabulary she heard earlier in the day. Every action she takes, from running in the morning to reading at night, is an opportunity for her to engage with English in a natural, steady rhythm. When Maya gets home around 6 p.m., she isn't done. She makes a simple pasta dish, eats dinner, and then watches a documentary, not just to relax, but to continue training her ear to understand different English accents and speaking styles. Before bed, she often reads a chapter of an English book or listens to soft music with English lyrics. Why does her story matter? Because Maya doesn't have perfect grammar. She doesn't memorize hundreds of new words each day, but what she does have is consistency. And it's this daily shadowing, this gentle, repetitive practice that's helping her speak naturally, confidently, and clearly. Maya shows us that fluency isn't about talent or luck. It's about creating simple habits that train your brain and your mouth to work together. Her journey is just beginning, but every day she gets closer to the English speaker she wants to be. And so can you. Now, let's explore how another ordinary day can be a powerful lesson in English fluency. While Maya's routine inspires us with calm focus and academic discipline, let's now shift gears to someone whose day moves at a faster, more physical pace. David, a delivery driver. His story reveals a different kind of English practice, one that happens in motion during a busy workday, filled with real-life conversations and on-the-spot communication. David wakes up at 6:30 a.m., just a little later than Maya. But unlike her, he doesn't ease into the day. His alarm rings, and within minutes he's on his feet. He stretches, yawns, and takes a quick shower to shake off the sleep. He puts on his uniform, grabs a quick breakfast, usually toast and coffee, and checks his phone for the day's delivery schedule. Every step is part of a rhythm he's developed, and surprisingly, that rhythm includes English. As he drives to the warehouse, David listens to English news or short dialogues. He shadows them aloud while keeping his eyes on the road, repeating phrases he might actually use later in the day. "Your package has arrived. Please sign here. Have a great day." These aren't just phrases from a textbook, they're part of his job. And that's what makes David's shadowing practice so effective. He's using language in context, which is one of the fastest ways to retain what you learn. Throughout the day, David loads his van, checks his route, and begins his deliveries. At each stop, he interacts briefly with customers. Some speak quickly, others ask questions. David has to respond, sometimes under pressure, which helps him build confidence in his speaking. Even small talk like nice weather today or sorry I'm late becomes part of his growing English fluency. At lunch, David grabs food from a local food truck. Sometimes he chats with the vendor or other delivery drivers, using casual English to bond over shared routines. He doesn't always get the grammar right, but he communicates clearly, and that's what matters. His English is alive, practical, and improving day by day. In the afternoon, he continues with his route, snapping photos for proof of delivery, responding to customer messages, and navigating traffic, all while occasionally repeating phrases he's heard during the day. His brain stays active, his tongue stays trained. And though he's tired by the time he returns the van to the warehouse at 5 p.m., he knows he's learned something new every day, not just about delivery routes, but about speaking real English. David's story reminds us that fluency doesn't require a classroom. It doesn't require a perfect accent. It just requires consistency, the kind you build through daily effort, no matter what your job is. So whether you're a student like Maya or a busy professional like David, there's always time to shadow, to speak, and to grow. Now let's meet someone whose world looks completely different, but who still uses shadowing to unlock new levels of fluency. After spending a day in David's fast-paced delivery world, let's rewind the clock and step into the life of someone younger. Leo, a 16-year-old high school student. Unlike Maya or David, Leo doesn't have a career yet, but he's at a stage where his habits, routines, and choices are shaping not just his future, but also the way he speaks English. His story shows how early practice and casual shadowing can build a foundation of confidence that lasts a lifetime. Leo's alarm rings at 7 a.m., and like many teens, he's tempted to hit snooze. But today, he pushes himself up, showers quickly, and eats a bowl of cereal. As he eats, he doesn't scroll TikTok or play games. Instead, he listens to a short English dialogue from a podcast he likes. It's simple and fun, and he shadows along. "Hey, how's it going?" "Not bad, just tired." It's the kind of conversation he might hear at school, and practicing it in advance gives him a boost of confidence. At 7:45 a.m., he grabs his school bag and catches the bus. During the ride, he listens to more casual English, stories, jokes, or even music lyrics. Sometimes he repeats them under his breath, copying the rhythm and intonation of native speakers. He may not realize it, but this is powerful shadowing. He's not just hearing English, he's feeling it. When Leo gets to school at 8:15, the real test begins. His first class is math, which is mostly numbers, but next comes science and then English, where he's expected to read, speak, and sometimes present in front of others. Because he's been shadowing expressions from real life, Leo finds it easier to participate. He doesn't panic when the teacher asks him to speak. Instead, he draws on the phrases he's practiced. He speaks slowly but clearly, and each time he gets just a little better. Lunchtime is another chance to use English naturally. Leo eats with his friends and sometimes tries out casual phrases he's picked up from his morning routine. "That's hilarious," or "seriously." Even when he's joking around, he's reinforcing what he's heard, repeating, responding, and practicing without even realizing it. After school ends, at 3 p.m., Leo goes home, eats a snack, and does his homework. Later in the evening, he plays video games online, often with players from other countries. It's another opportunity to speak English, this time in a more relaxed, spontaneous setting. And again, his shadowing helps. He's more confident, more natural, more expressive. Leo's story proves that you don't need to wait until you're older to become fluent. With simple tools like podcasts, dialogues, and a little creativity, even a teenager can train his brain and his voice to speak English with ease. While Leo's teenage journey shows how English fluency can start early, our next story brings us into a more structured, professional world, one filled with deadlines, meetings, and quiet focus. Meet Sarah, a young woman who works remotely as a graphic designer. Her days are less noisy than David's and more independent than Leo's, but no less powerful when it comes to building English fluency. Sarah's story shows how shadowing can blend seamlessly into a work-from-home lifestyle and how even in silence, your voice can grow stronger. Sarah begins her day at 8 a.m., waking up to the gentle sound of her alarm. She doesn't rush. Instead, she heads to the kitchen, makes a fresh cup of coffee, and opens her laptop. While the coffee brews, she listens to a short English podcast, not just for learning, but for warming up her brain. As she sips, she softly repeats the phrases she hears. Let's dive into today's ideas. I totally agree. That's an interesting perspective. These aren't just words, they're expressions she'll need in the meetings ahead. Her first task of the day is checking emails and responding to client messages. Shadowing has trained her to write and speak more naturally, and it shows. When she has a video meeting with her team in the afternoon, she uses the same tone and vocabulary she's practiced. Let me share my screen. Here's my design concept. Any feedback? She sounds confident, not because she memorized a script, but because she's lived those sentences through repetition. Around noon, Sarah takes a break for lunch, usually something light. Then she steps away from her screen and stretches while listening to soft English music or a short news report. Again, she's shadowing, repeating lyrics, echoing headlines, letting her tongue and ears stay active. In the afternoon, she works on presentations, edits images, and updates content. Sometimes she plays English background audio to stay immersed. She may not shadow every word, but the rhythm is always present, like a steady heartbeat behind her creativity. By 5 p.m., she shuts her laptop and clears her desk, but her practice isn't over. In the evening, she goes for a walk and listens to another podcast, or she watches a show. And yes, she often pauses and repeats interesting lines, mimicking accents and emotions. Before bed, she writes new vocabulary in a notebook and reflects on what she learned. It's a gentle ritual, but one that reinforces everything she's heard and spoken throughout the day. Sarah's story reminds us that fluency doesn't have to come from speaking in front of crowds. Sometimes it grows best in quiet moments, with headphones in, a notebook nearby, and a daily commitment to shadow, repeat, and grow. And as we'll see next, this quiet confidence can also live in busy cities and creative minds. Let's follow Chloe's inspiring routine. After Sarah's calm and focused routine, where shadowing became a quiet companion to her remote workday, we now meet someone who brings energy, movement, and city life into the picture. Chloe, she's 22 years old, recently graduated and now living in the fast-paced heart of Manhattan. Chloe works at a marketing agency, juggling deadlines, team meetings, and social media strategies. But amid the hustle, she's quietly mastering one powerful habit: shadowing. Her story shows that even in a noisy, distracted world, English fluency can still grow, sentence by sentence, day by day. Chloe's day begins at 7:15 a.m. Like many young professionals, her first instinct is to reach for her phone, not for scrolling, but to check her messages and open her favorite English language podcast. Still under the covers, she listens to native speakers talk about everything from work-life balance to weekend plans. As she brushes her teeth and makes coffee, she echoes their words, mimicking their tone. Let's get started. I totally feel that. Can't wait for the weekend. These phrases flow naturally into her speech because she hears and repeats them every single morning. As she walks to the subway, Chloe keeps her earbuds in, listening and shadowing softly under her breath. The train ride becomes her moving classroom, a place where she absorbs the rhythm and melody of real spoken English. She often replays short sections and shadows again, challenging herself to match the speed and emotion of the speaker. By 9 a.m., Chloe arrives at the office. She greets her co-workers, checks her email, and dives into content creation. Whether she's writing captions or pitching ideas in a meeting, the phrases she's practiced come out smoothly. Shadowing has sharpened her instinct for phrasing, helped her avoid hesitation, and given her the courage to speak up in group discussions. At 11 a.m., she takes a quick coffee break. Sometimes she chats with a colleague about a funny video. Laughter, as it turns out, is also great practice. Every little interaction becomes an opportunity to speak naturally and connect in English. After work, Chloe visits her favorite bookstore. She picks up a novel and flips through a few pages, always on the lookout for new expressions. At home, she prepares dinner while watching an English TV series. She laughs, repeats lines out loud, and even imitates the actors' voices. Before going to bed at 10:30 p.m., she reviews new words and writes them in her notebook. Her day ends the same way it began, surrounded by language, filled with learning. Chloe's story is proof that shadowing can thrive anywhere, in busy offices, crowded subways, cozy kitchens. Fluency doesn't require extra time, it just needs intention. Like Maya, David, Leo, and Sarah before her, Chloe shows that with consistency and curiosity, English can become part of your lifestyle, not just something you study, but something you live.